It's that time again. It's Wednesday, live stream Wednesday. Something that this guy does every Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a great week. On the intro though, we had DJ Bumblebee from last week. I figured it was kind of a good idea to throw him up as the intro countdown. Let's see who we got here in chat. Got Totally Normal. Welcome in, Chris. Glad to see that you're here. Glad that you're not the only one here as well. Man, you drilled some holes in your chair and filmed it. Hopefully it's triggering the warranty crew. The warranty police are going to be all over you with that. You know that. Hello there, Mike C. Welcome in. Yeah, I feel like you definitely need the shirt that says "I void wheelchair warranties." Like that needs to be like your main, I don't know, go-to thing. Thank you for that in Discord there. Totally normal. I forgot the at everyone because actually maybe only admins can do that. So good call on your part. So I can't recall. Hey, South Carolina Diggins in the house. I can't really recall who brought it up during the last stream, but somebody said, "Hey, like maybe something would be kind of interesting for a live stream would be talking about emergency plans." And I'm kind of like thinking about it like over the last week. I'm like, what plans? Like if there's a fire, there's an emergency. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. That's true. There is a photo of you wearing in the new mobility magazine. Has the word "I void warranty" shirt. That's perfect image for you. And just for fun, I decided to have the artificial intelligence make today's YouTube thumbnail. It did a really good job. It encompassed everything I wanted in the thumbnail. But I said man in wheelchair. And you can see in today's YouTube thumbnail, it's literally just a dude standing there. So I don't know exactly what happened with AI. AI and me are just like not on the same page lately. I've really been trying to push it hard with like wheelchair related images, and it just sucks at it. I don't know. I'm really hoping that some of the AI art will eventually maybe watch one of these videos and be like, we need to improve that. I mean, the chance of that happening is pretty slim. Let's be real. So we're going to talk about emergency plans, talk to people in chat to see what they have for emergency plans, because I don't know, I'm sure there's a lot of us that have never really like stopped to think about it or want to think about it. Like, I know that there's some of us, not all of us, but somebody like myself, once I'm laying down in bed and the caregiver leaves, like I'm stuck there. There's no getting out until somebody gets me out. So if there's ever an emergency, I'm basically stuck there until somebody comes and gets me out. That's something I don't want to dwell on, don't want to think about, but it's a reality. It's a reality that something could happen, and it'd be good to have some sort of, emergency plan in place and figure out what it is. Now, we'll start out with does anybody have any type of basic emergency plan in chat? Like just a basic one, like what they would do or think about what they would do. Like I said, I've been thinking about this all week, and I'm like, I really don't. I feel like my plans are very half-assed, which I know is not the right way to do it. There should be a legitimate, plans, but right now they're definitely half-assed. I feel like that there would be some, I don't know, there's definitely some things that kind of go, I should probably think about that. For example, simple thing is like a fire. So if I'm already up in my wheelchair, I have 2 exits. There's 3 total exits in the house, but one of them goes outside to a deck, and that's not going to work out. I can't go off a deck. Could try, but probably wouldn't go well. Then I have the front door and garage door, which both have ramps, but I can't open up the doors myself. So even if I even got to the door, it's like, oh, sorry, you're not getting out this one, buddy. I definitely need to get those accessible door things put in with the the door switches. But I'm like thinking about like, what if it's like a power? There's so many things. Like a power outage, the doors won't open. I can't get out the door. Like there's so many different things I'm thinking about. But one of the main things is making sure I can have an emergency exit to get out in case of emergency. It's just something that it'd be good to think about and know. Totally Normal says, funny timing. I just installed a carbon monoxide detector about 30 minutes ago in here. Got to make sure the air doesn't get stale. Exactly. I mean, I'm sure that there's at least, I don't know, I'd say 1 out of 10 people if there's 10 people watching this video at once, I'd say one out of 10 people doesn't even have a carbon dioxide detector. It's something, I think we have 3 in this house, just in case, because we have a lot of gas appliances. You got your fireplace, you got your home hot water heater, you got your actual heater. A lot of things in the house have gas. It'd be kind of good to know about carbon dioxide and other things that could build up as well. And those are kind of like the basic. Like, you should have your carbon dioxide. You should have your smoke detectors. Those are kind of like the good things to have. And then what I would like to figure out, I guess even for my own self, is like, okay, so say I'm laying in bed, a fire breaks out. I can't call 911 with the Google speaker on the wall. It won't call it. Now I can tell it to call a family member, where I can tell Google to call a family member, and I can then have Siri call emergency services. But I never tried to call emergency services with Siri. Is it something that Siri will do? Well, it would say, no, you need to enter your passcode, or it needs to see my face. Like, I don't know how. I don't know. I'm just really curious of like how that would work. But it's not like you can go and try it and tell Siri like, hey, call, 911. It's not something you can really technically test. I guess you can tell it to dial 411 instead as a test to make sure it like verbally understands your command. Let's see. I got a few little. So carbon dioxide is more important, yeah. But carbon dioxide isn't as critical. It's important, but not as critical. I agree. Smoke detectors definitely need to be the priority. You called 911 with Siri before my old van tried to kill you. Oh yeah, I forgot. Your van did try to, when you had a little off-road experience. Those are all things to think about. Like, okay, so what is my process going to be? Call a family member on Google so they can know there's something going on. And then do I call 911 with Siri? So I have both things on the line at the same time, which is fine. And then if I'm home, by myself or with caregivers here, I got to get them up and somehow get me out of bed. Now, how many of you have, well, at least I guess I won't even ask that question. So majority of us probably in chat all have some sort of electric bed. I actually have an air mattress that requires to be inflated and it requires power. I have a very small battery backup on it, but if the power were to go out for more than, 5 minutes, the bed would probably end up start deflating and I'd be in trouble. I also have it connected to my breathing machine. So between the breathing machine and the bed pump, I don't know how long it would actually run off of battery before the batteries die. That's something I've been thinking about too over the times that we had major power outages last winter, that we had power outages for like 3 days. It's like, how do I power this stuff for 3 days? And I know Totally Normal has had very extensive experience with long power outages and battery banks and inverters and things. And I've always thought how cool it'd be to have like a portable battery cart that you could roll into your house and it has an inverter already on it, and you just plug in your different equipment you need, whether it be a wheelchair charger, your breathing machine, if your bed requires electricity to sit you up and down. That's just something that it'd be kind of cool if somebody put together like an easy, like Harbor Freight edition, battery that maybe has, 4 batteries on it or something. Because a generator is something that we've thought about doing, but which is what Lidlock's talking about there. A generator is just not something that we can probably afford the generator, but what we can't, I don't have any way of having anybody that could basically start the generator. I could get the electric start, does a bit more expensive, and then we don't have anybody that could install the electrical stuff on the outside the house to make it where we can actually use the generator, properly the way it's supposed to be done outside, that kind of thing. I think it would be, it'd be interesting to kind of, I don't know, just been starting to think about all these different, like, not necessarily prep ideas, but just ideas to have in place just in case. Totally Normal says a big server size UPS with one size batteries only run for about 8 hours, so my breathing machine and airbed. Okay. And you're thinking about power chair base with 4 group 24 batteries and an inverter on it. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that'd be kind of cool to have like a cart just like that, but have it so it has like an A/B switch that once the first group of 2 batteries are dead, you can just flip it over to the next group of batteries, and there you go. You can have basically enough batteries to get you through. Or are you talking about doing all 4 of them wired together? They're Totally Normal. Or you're talking about an A/B switch like I just mentioned. Lidlock was saying my airbag has a 1 watt valve on it, so it'll be okay till power. And that's another thing, I guess, too. I guess I could maybe look into see if I could install a one-way air valve on the bed pump. Or on the actual bed pump hoses. I don't know if that would work, though, because my mattress is not a standard air mattress. It's an alternating pressure mattress. So, every 5 to 7 minutes it changes pressure. So I don't know if a one-way valve would work on the style of mattress I have, Lidlock. But that's good to know that they have those, though. 20% A, B are all connected is good. Yeah, I mean, I figured you got 4 batteries put together with an inverter, that would last quite a while. So I don't know, something I just kind of started thinking about, like, man, with winter here in Portland, we are definitely guaranteed to have a power outage, at least probably 4 of those, with some power surges, with the potential of power being out for, a couple days. When I was without power for a week, 4 batteries would run me overnight, breathing machine, bed, and gas fireplace. When during the day you charge up with the generator. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And I think my neighbor said that he could run me in a cable off of his generator when it came to long-term power outages to make sure I could recharge things, like a battery system like that could run all my stuff at night. A huge battery cart with dynamic electronics. Exactly, that would totally do it. Let's see what else I miss here in chat. I think that's it. So, I think it was like 4 days ago, we had a power surge that came through, and it destroyed the battery backup that my server is connected to. So it took a little bit longer to get everything set up for today because all of my Photoshop images and things I use to make all the images and stuff is all stored on the server, and that was down since whatever day that was, like Sunday, when we had that major power surge and it completely fried the battery backup. It will turn on, but as soon as you pull power from it, it tries to run on battery, the thing just shuts off and does a really loud, like, sparking kind of click, and it smells horrible. So I've been trying to get them to get me a replacement because it's covered under warranty until 2023. Which is right around the corner. So hopefully they'll replace my battery backup for me because it'd be nice to have a server again. Let's see. Chris Stroll saying, I've put planning into a standby generator and the contractors I've talked to are scheduled installs a year or more out. That's really awesome, though, Chris, that you've basically been able to go and basically get, like, generators set up in place. And aren't yours, Chris? I think if I remember when I talked to you on Twitter that there's your generators will automatically switch over. I don't know if they're like auto start. I think we kind of talked about that. So that way your house will be kind of set up for that. Wonder if there's a soldered fuse block that blew or something. It's possible. There may have been a soldered fuse block in the battery backup that blew. Something just went boom, and that just, yeah. And it's a super loud click when it clicks over, like a sparking click, and it smells like burnt electronics. It's lovely. And the battery still shows 100% charge. And as soon as you try to do a battery test, it does the sparking thing. And if you try to pull it from the wall on like a 1 watt thing plugged into it, it just shuts off. So there's definitely something wrong with it with that power surge. Somebody's saying that I read online that it could be the battery, like if the battery is really dead, but it's like, why would it show full? So I don't know. I did order a new battery in case they tell me it still do that. All right, so back off of the battery backup. So let's, I guess, let's kind of talk about another thing that we have here in the Portland areas. We have earthquakes. Now I have a ceiling hoyer above me in the bed. The whole entire metal structure is above me, but it is reinforced into ceiling, so it's probably one of the safest places to be because there's a large, 8-foot metal beam, plus then reinforcements up above it. But the thing I'm worried about is the way our house is made. Is the contractors, when they built this house, it's supposed to be a 3-story house, and they screwed up and realized that, oh no, it's not supposed to be a 3-story. It's only a 2-story. So that I basically have a 3rd-story size basement underneath me, like 6 foot from the ground to the floor that I'm on. and it's like a big gigantic crawl space, it's 6 foot. So I kind of feel like that there's a lot of, I don't know, space to fall into if there's ever a big earthquake. I don't really trust his house staying on its foundation really well, but I don't know, maybe in the year that they built this house, it's going to be sturdy and it's going to be fine. But that's something I've always kind of thought about. It's like I got this big metal Hoyer hanging above my head. If there's ever an earthquake, like just I gotta pray, hope it turns out. I don't know. It's I don't want to think morbidly, but it's kind of like, dang, like that's going to be some pretty sketch time. I've also thought about like, what if it were to happen right now? I need to like bail out of the house. Like I can't go and open up the door myself, so I gotta make sure somebody can get the door and try to get out. And it's not something that you want to think about, but it's like shit. How's that gonna work? So let's just start out with like the basic back in the beginning where we talk about. Let's say like basic fire. So if a fire were to break out or anything like that, the game plan would be to basically, hey Dee Dee, welcome in. Glad you're here. The whole idea would be to basically, call 911 obviously and have Siri do that, and then have Google call family member, and then basically figure out a way to have, I don't know, maybe a family member's at the bedside, because now that I'm thinking about it, my closest family member is 15 minutes away. Obviously, the fire department could probably get here sooner if it's actual fire. I feel like I should maybe talk to my neighbor about this and see if it's something that, if for some reason it's like middle of the night or something, I could go over to their house, because the person I live with would not physically be able to get me out of my bed in a quick, timely manner. It's just something physically would not be possible. But if I had somebody like the neighbor to come over and it's like a real emergency, they could literally just pick me up, put me into my wheelchair, and get out of the house. The good thing about the location where I sleep in the house, it's in the front, and there's a window right there that a fire department person could walk up to at the front door and and get right in and be able to save my bacon basically, which is always good. But yeah, it's something that I have to think about in each part, each safety thing. So if it's a fire, what are the plan? If it's an earthquake, what's the plan? Luckily, we don't have tornadoes here, or anything like that. Like I did in the Midwest, we had a lot of tornadoes there. Um, I don't know. It's just something that was, came up at the end of last week's live stream, and like I said, anybody that's new to joining in, that something that I've been thinking about all week, and it's like, dang, I don't really have a plan in place. Like there really should be some sort of emergency plan for all things that happen, like falling out of the wheelchair, to fire, to earthquake, carbon monoxide. Like, I mean, it's all like things you got to think about. Or like I said, the one thing we talked about, which is a real common problem here, is power outages. Yeah, and I think that's something I do have registered with the fire district. Totally normal saying it's different every fire district, but you can usually register yourself and need extra assistance if they're called to your address. Yeah, you can normally call the non-emergent line and have them add you basically to a list that basically says that you're going to need extra assistance getting out of your home. So that way they're aware of like, oh, person lives in home in power wheelchair, and basically and then also maybe gets a description of exactly where your room would be, maybe. So that way, in case of an emergency, they know exactly where the potential spot you would be. That's a really good idea. And I also believe you can also, and I don't know if it's true, but I also think you can also specify maybe where they would take you as well in case of an emergency. Like if there's a certain hospital or place you don't want to go to, you might be able to specify that. I don't know if that's true though. I think it might depend on the emergency. They might just take you wherever the closest hospital is, no matter what. Don't know if that's true or not though. So anybody that's new to joining us that's in chat, do you have any type of backup plan or emergency plan in place of any sort? See, Chris is saying, I think a monitored alarm system would be good to have in the event of a fire or carbon monoxide. That's a very good point. I think having something that's basically being monitored gives you like the peace of mind knowing like, okay, if there is a fire, it's automatically going to be taken care of. And same thing with like carbon monoxide. I do have a lot of smart home stuff in here, but it's not going to help me and do any other type of Yeah, it's not going to help me in any type of thing at all. I definitely think of security. So you have a Qless IQ panel at home. I don't really know what that is. Like, I'm assuming some sort of security system is what you're talking about. But I definitely agree with Christo and back into saying that having a monitored alarm system would be good. I know there's like Simply Safe and some of those other ones. I believe they have like carbon monoxide detectors and other things. Maybe I'll look into doing that. Just to have that maybe peace of mind, knowing that if there is something that's detected, like a smoke detector, at least it's going to notify the authorities for me automatically if there's something that I'm not able to basically do. I'm registered and fire department has a code and my Alexa can call and give them a code for my front door. Ooh, that's really interesting. I wonder if that's something that Google can do. Does anybody know if that's something that Google has the possibility of doing? Didn't know if that was possible or not. Because that would be sweet, DD. I mean, that's awesome you have that because they can at least give them the code to be able to get in. Totally normal saying, I think in my current residence is relatively earthquake resistant. Yeah, I'd say you'd be pretty good. Lidlock saying it's got CO sensors, fire sensors, cameras, door alarms, locks, window switches. Wow, it's like all in one system. That's pretty cool. And it works on cellular. That's actually really good that it uses batteries and cellular because your power gets cut out or anything like that. Mike C said my apartment often keeps a list of people that we need help evacuating in case of a fire. That's good to know. They keep that in there. On my phone, I just push an ER button and sends out certain notifications. Really, is that part of the Alexa app, DD? I know Alexa can listen for fire alarms. Yeah, I know my Google will send me like if it hears broken glass or smoke detector or CO2 detector noises, it will send me a notification. But I don't know. I don't know if it can. If it can. I mean, I'll have to look and see if there's a way to set that up. They tell wheelchair users to wait in your room for the fire department. Yeah, that makes sense, Mike. See why they would want that in an apartment, especially if you're like a multi-floor apartment. I'm assuming it might be the same thing. Um, yeah, I think that would be the I think due to the elevators because there's no way for you to get out possibly. Lidlock says I have my own panel set up so if I use the alert function, to unlock all the doors and windows and use CTY to send instructions to the dispatcher. That's really cool. That's a really awesome built-in thing, Lidlock. You can hit one button and it's able to do all that. That's really sweet, dude. I'll have to maybe look into that. Dan saying apartment lived years ago, picked it up parking garage. Oh, I remember that. The parking garage was right at the fourth floor level, so if there's ever a fire, you had an exit. I remember that totally normal. That's one thing to definitely look at when it comes to apartments sometimes. Wait, what? Did he say that? So in Houston, they have a lift that can go through the window, actually pick up a wheelchair. Interesting. That's actually pretty cool. I was thinking how to get a wheelchair through a window though. That's really cool that they have that. I mean, I can imagine maybe something like driving through the wall and then pulling it back out, but I'm trying to figure out how that would pick up a wheelchair through a window. I mean, maybe a manual chair for sure. I could see it like driving through the window, like sliding glass door, like, oh, we're gonna drive right on through that and get the wheelchair on out of there. That's really cool to have something like that, but I was curious of how that works. Well, definitely, I'm definitely liking the idea of having a monitored system though. So like Lidlock's got something like that. Christopher Stroll's got something like that. I think for for somebody at least in my and for my situation who does not have the ability to, I can't get out of bed, I can't move once I'm in bed. Just having the peace of mind of knowing that there's something that automatically calls if it detects something, I think would be huge. I do have, at least I do know where that is. I do have like the life alert thing that's cellular that also runs on battery that I can push and it can pick up anything from anywhere wherever I am, which is huge. But that's about as far as I have anything that's like an automated, not even automated, it's not going to push a button in order to do that. But I think getting something like a system already built in that automatically does it would be a big help, I think, for somebody, at least in my personal situation. Rolling Thunder said, I would find a way to make sure your medical equipment, other equipment is insured because of personal situation, since I'm able to get. Yeah, no, I would just say, however, I'm not sure I'm able to do that, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, absolutely, Rolling Thunder, that makes total sense. So I definitely have my stuff is that. I just don't have with my condition physically, there's no way I'd be able to. I don't know if even somebody like, obviously it's a real emergency, so it could like carry me out. It would not feel good, but it would be better than obviously being stuck in the emergency situation. Um, I don't know if my body would physically be able to be picked up and carried. I don't know how well my body would handle that. But at the same time, like I said, if it's a real emergency, you got to do what you got to do to save your life. So, but definitely have my equipment insured, so it's covered underneath my homeowner's policy. South Carolina digging. My room is right next to the dining room with sliding glass doors. But always have some weird. Yeah, I always have someone where I am at as well, and my window does go right up to the front of the house where a fireman could like walk up to the window and hop right in. Um, but it's not the person that I do live with would not be able to get me out of bed quickly in a quick manner. Luckily, my Hoyer lift is battery powered, so it would probably always work. But depending on how urgent the emergency is, I mean, it takes a good 5 to 8 minutes just to even connect the Hoyer, get me underneath the bed, like to sling. Like it's not a instant get out of bed process. It takes time. And I do sleep with my phone though next to me, and there's a Google speaker in where I'm sleeping, and also all throughout the house there's Google speakers, and if I yell loud enough, it would, call whoever I want to call. And obviously then the phone would be able to call 911 of any sort. Hey Orion, glad you're here. Welcome in, sir. And Rolling Thunder, thank you for being here. Toy Norm says, yeah, Windows wearable devices are great. Yeah, they are really great, but the only thing is for me is I don't have the ability to push the button in. I love it. It's great. You can push the button. They can hear me from anywhere. So I have it in a place, and I always have it near me or on me to where everyone knows where it is, so they can push it for me. But I literally, like, if I were to fall, like the commercial says, fall and can't get up, I physically cannot hit the button myself. I don't have the finger strength to push it in. It's a great device to have in case of emergencies, but it's not something that, I guess it's something that allows me to have the ability to do, it on my own without having to rely on that. Ryan saying, I try to keep my phone within reach. There's an app I keep on the lock screen, allows me to send automated text. Oh, that's really cool. For Ryan, do you know what the name of the app is? That's actually really awesome. Now you're saying it's on your lock screen. Are you able to voice command it, or do you always have to basically like physically pick up your phone and click the button? Medical ID. Okay. Yeah, I also keep a list of meds and medical conditions on a card that I keep behind my ID in my wallet, and also a couple places in the house. Yours on the lock screen too. Okay. I think it's a medical ID is a Apple thing, isn't it? If I recall, like a built-in Apple thing. No, it's not an Apple thing. Okay, the separate app. Gotcha. Lilac is saying that if he hears an alarm at night, I'm sleeping. Usually can't use my hands. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Doc. When, like I said, when I hop into bed and I'm laying there, like I'm stuck in bed. There's no way for me to move or do anything without actually physically having somebody come move me or pick me up or anything at all like that. Rolling Thunder for me personally, if I'm in a situation my life is on the line, as I said before, my priority is for me to get out of the quickest, so I would most likely have to be carried because it takes. Yeah, I think I'm right on up there too, Rolling Thunder with you. I mean, my situation with my Hoyer and the time it takes to get me out of bed, if it's a real life-threatening emergency, whether it be my neighbor or a firefighter, they're gonna have to pick me up and carry me out of there. There's no other way to do it quickly. Like there's just not a way to do it. I mean, they might be able to pick me up and put me into my chair if it's like non-emergency, but if it's like life-threatening emergency, they're gonna have to. There's no way around it. It's like Lidlock is saying, it's the same situation for him. I can get going if I wake up, but it takes time. I have to unknot yourself. Gotcha, Ryan. Oh yeah, Rolling Thunder, I agree. Time for me to be able to get out of the wheelchair and my walker. So if that's why I personally would have leave those behind. Yeah, exactly. If it's like a life-threatening emergency, it's like wheelchair. What wheelchair? I don't think they could just stay in the house, in the fire, or whatever the emergency is. I don't know. I think that this is, emergency having an emergency plan, even if it's like I said, with me not really having one, and we kind of talked about long-term power outages with my neighbor, but if it's another, emergency, I know he's pretty much there most nights. He doesn't really do any overnight travel, per se. So I could at least know that there's a neighbor next door that I could always, you know, call in like an emergency or go knock, have somebody knock on the door or something in a emergency where it's like life threatening and there's, situation kind of happen. I could have somebody that lives here could at least do that to try to, I don't know. It's tough. I think there needs to be a plan though, and that's why I think somebody brought it up in the last live stream as something to talk about because I think it's all something that we've all thought about, but it's not necessarily discussed or talked about in our communities per se. I feel like each person kind of has their own little thing, their own like, okay, if it's a fire, I'm going to do this. If it's carbon monoxide, here's my game plan for this. Like just a general gist of a plan. Everyone has um, their own ideas of what it is they want to do, and I think it's important that we at least. No, Ryan, it's fine. Don't be sorry, dude. I'm glad you brought it up. I couldn't remember who brought it up, so thank you for mentioning that you brought it up. It's totally fine. I just think it's an important subject to talk about because as much as it's like you don't want to say, well, if there's a fire and and it's a real emergency and I might die if I don't get out, it's not something you want to, um, you don't want to have to think about, but we got to look at the reality that if it would happen, at least would be smart to have some sort of game plan and not being like, well, now what? Like, for example, when 2017, when I got dropped out of Hoyer, by the caregiver, I was able to have somebody push the, help I fall and can't get up button. So they were able to communicate with 911 what the problem was. And then they came. But when I went to the hospital, I went to ambulance, my power chair was still here. Which, I mean, I had 4 broken bones, so I wasn't going to be needed anytime soon. But that's something that, that I had to, think about and how to, have a game plan to how to get the wheelchair there. I mean, luckily we figured it out down the road. But at the time, it was not really a priority. It's like, okay, hospital, get there, that kind of thing. But I think it's important for us to have a game plan and talk about, even if it's not a subject we want to talk about. I tend to use my manual chair inside, so if it's needed, they can carry me out in my chair. And so I can move around once I'm out. That makes sense. A few times I've been in an ambulance that requires yelling at people to get them to bring my manual chair along. That's one thing I do not have. I do no longer have a manual wheelchair. Christopher Searle said, I really should have a way out that doesn't require electricity. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. That's a really good point Christopher just brought up. Like, There needs to be a way out that doesn't require electricity. So I would install an automatic opening, accessible door. Right now, my doors are just manual, so somebody could walk up to it, undo the deadbolt, and open it. I can't do it myself, but somebody else, physically living here could. Is that if there's no electricity on those automatic opening doors, I'm assuming they all have some sort of emergency release when the power's out, I'm guessing. Maybe I'll let Totally Normal chime in on that one. I'm assuming that's the case. Or anybody else that has an automatic opening door already in your house. If the power's out, does your door work? Is it really hard to open? That would be just something to curiosity. Like, so if the power's out, what is the backup plan for that door? Chris, I think you might be okay though, Chris, because if your generators come on automatically, but what if it's some sort of other emergency that might not be able to happen? Orion's asking, can you use the bed ladder thing if that helps you sit up? Thought about a slide out my bedroom window. No, I'm when I'm literally Orion, when I'm like laying down in bed, I'm literally stuck there. I can't move an inch. I can't move it like without somebody physically moving me. There's no way in order to make that happen. So, and my I am on the bottom floor with the window where I can walk up and somebody can like fireman can go right through the window if they needed to. So I'm not like an upstairs window. I'm assuming you might have an upstairs situation where you need to do like a slide out your bedroom window. I'm guessing that's what you're. I'm assuming you're on the second floor. You might be on the first floor and still need a slide, but mine's like literally right out the window. My house wasn't made to be accessible. I have a steep ramp on my stairs and a truck wrench to pull my chair up. Wait, Lidlock, you have a winch on a steep ramp on your stairs that pulls you up? That's awesome. That's pretty cool. That's a different type of setup instead of like an elevator or one of those seat elevators for stairs. You basically are just really put a bunch of plywood down and add a winch. That's interesting. Never heard of anybody doing that. It's pretty cool. Hook a chair to grab sliding door, but then have to deal with the lock. I feel like that if I had to exit out my sliding door and it was a real emergency, I would just drive. I would literally just take the back of the chair and drive as fast as I can in reverse and smash through it. I don't know if that would work or not. But I feel like that's if it was a real emergency, I feel like I would just go right through the sliding door if it came to it. Or even or any other door for that matter, just like drive right through it. I don't think it probably would break the front door, no problem, but the garage door is made with metal, so that wouldn't work. But the front door, it maybe would break it. Most of them I assume would have a battery pack, or would maybe get one with a battery backup. Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of them are going to have that. Oh, thank you, Ryan, for sending that to me. In case of emergency, double tap for medical emergency contacts. Okay, so it just kind of hangs out right on your home screen, literally. Okay. I'm going to look into that app. That's really awesome to be able to have that for in case of emergencies. Ryan saying I was on the volunteer fire department. If you have an active fire, we will kill the backup power unit. Gotcha. That makes sense because I'm assuming the chance of the fire spreading or getting worse could be if there's the generator or something still continuing to pump power in the house, you're going to disable that. That makes sense. I'm personally, I am when I would consider a very mobile. I am able to walk with a walker and don't necessarily need a wheelchair full time. Yeah, that's awesome, Road Thunder. You're able to be that mobile, and you're able to at least get down from that. I would maybe crawl out the window, but I would have to be very careful with the heights and not injure myself from crawling down from that high. Yeah, especially if you're crawling from somewhere super high. Let's see. Lidlock said I have a little pouch on the side of my chair that has spare meds, cast, knife, window breaking thing, and other supplies. Also, it's a fire suppression system. Yeah, I had an old house we lived in when I lived in Seattle and actually in Arizona. Both of them had a built-in fire suppression, like sprinkler system built into it, which I thought was interesting. It was like after a certain year, it was required in Washington State, as far as like I think after a certain size of house or something, it was required. I think up there. That and water and electricity issue. Typically, they're hooked to natural gas or propane supplies. That's a good point. You don't want electricity going of any sort if there's natural gas or propane. I never thought about. Oh yeah, fire suppressions are definitely a thing, but they're definitely not a standard equipment on most residential homes. Absolutely no. That's pretty awesome. You have that, Blue Block. That's a great addition to have to your your setup that you got. So at least you're covered. Ruin Thunder, if you don't mind me asking, who are or what are you using? Are you using like a ADT company? You don't have to even specify what company. Just curious, use like a company or using like one of those like oh gosh, what's that home security company that does uh the guy in YouTube uses it. Dan, the guy from Portland that does cars, B is for build. He advertises it for all the time. Simply Safe. There we go. See, I knew it'd come to me eventually. Yeah, so he uses Simply Safe for all of his stuff. Yeah, Simply Safe. Thank you, Lidlock. Just curious what it is that you use because I think that's definitely something that um 99% of the time I will not physically be able to get to my phone any shape where I can voice command and say, hey, call 411 or whatever, but I'm not going to be able to uh do anything with it. I'm just curious like what company that you like what your overall like setup is. I'm just curious. Like if it's like a like through a company you got to pay like a monthly fee, like your typical, ATT or is it called no ADT? I think is what it's called. And if you don't want to tell me what brand or whatever you're using, that's totally fine. Totally understandable. Just curious as was because it might be something I'm definitely going to have to maybe look into. But I think having that peace of mind to have it automatically call proper authorities for me would be huge because it's something I don't have that set up. I literally have a family member I can call who lives 15 minutes away, the family member that I live with who can't physically get me out of bed themselves in an emergency, and then there's my neighbor. That's it. Let's see. Yeah, Mike. See, I think that most of at least I know that you're in the Portland area as well. That most of all the apartment buildings here are all going to have sprinkler systems and a little bit better seismic things in place for earthquakes and stuff. Um, oh, your system is through a company. All right, thank you, Rolling Thunder. Yeah, I was thinking about that one. Uh, yeah, new construction in some areas, depending on where you live, they definitely are required. They were back in 2009 where I lived in Woodinville, Washington. They were required to have houses had to be built. They had to have sprinkler systems. Lidlock saying I wouldn't use a company. I wired my own system so it would directly dial 911. No middleman. I would totally do that. I just don't want to have the time to do that. Lidlock, I think it'd be really awesome to know like I put it together and like know maybe it has like redundancies or things, but I'd rather just use a company that's just done one and done. I don't have to think about it. I agree. No middleman to wipe that out's a good idea, but for me, I'm just not gonna have the time to mess with it. I've got too many other things on my plate. Now that I think about it, I don't know if ours has the capability. Thankfully, we've never had to experience that, but maybe someday. What capability is that, Rolling Thunder? Sorry, there's been a lot of conversation in the last 5 minutes. I may have mentioned something, or somebody else may have mentioned something. The bus has a heavily limited fire suppression system, but pulling the handle also means the oxygen will be shortly removed as well. So, I mean, you got a breathing machine, right? That'll save you with some Russian stuff in the bus right there. I have no idea. I remember. I mean, that's great. It has a by pulling the handle, all the oxygen is going to be removed from the bus. Just out of oh, there's not really a way to remotely. Your lift can go down manually though, right? Out of the bus, totally normal. I just thought about that. If there's actually an emergency, you need to get out. I'm assuming the lift will go down no matter what. I'm guessing there's some sort of option for that. Yeah, for most consumers, I go with the modern company. Yeah, I agree. Oh, capable of dialing 911 police fire. Rolling Thunder, so yours is like a built-in alarm security system, but you don't know if it's capable of dialing it for you. That's might be something maybe just to ask the company that you're doing and using. Just it'd be kind of good to know that that can automatically do that, you know? Oh, nice. Got three ways out. One involves a rope and rigging. There you go. I like that. Needs a trapdoor in the bus to escape. Yes, I see that being an episode. Trapdoor in bus. Lilac saying but I prefer not to be watched 24/7. I honestly, I like, I can totally understand where you're coming from, Lilac. I unfortunately had to remove all privacy in my own home. Um, I employ 6 caregivers for the amount of care that I need each day. And with that, I've had to put cameras all throughout the house. So basically, I no longer have privacy, but it's for good reasons. And I've had, you know, bad people steal from me. Luckily, I don't use, I hire my own people now. I'm not going through third-party companies that hire people. I end up hiring them on my own. So knock on wood, everyone I have has been very good and on the up and up, but it's something I definitely don't I don't have privacy anymore. So I was like, oh, cameras, yeah, they're everywhere. I just yeah, hopefully no hackers get into them. It'd be a fun time to watch, I'm sure. They'd have a great time. Um let's see. At some point disability negates any of that stuff. That's true. Wraps himself in foil bubble wrap from windows and escapes like a taco. I could see that. Like just just roll up into. I mean, you got foil on the windows. Just roll yourself up and out the window like a taco. Well, I'm glad, Lidlock, that during that time you had that glass on you and stuff. You're able to call somebody in that emergency. That was a crazy emergency. I remember that. Totally normal is just laughing about that if he were to call emergency services, he'd be like, I'm in bay number 3 on the right. You should mark it with a bright red, like emergency, like cross right on the side of that bay, so everyone knows that that's like the bay you're gonna end up in, no matter what. Like, oh, there's the bay. It's marked emergency bay. So I know some of you are still new to this chat from what we started earlier. Does anybody have any something we talked about early on was like I was thinking and talking about was totally normal that it'd be and a couple other people that it'd be awesome to have a cart with 4 batteries on it and a power inverter and a switch that allowed you to use all 4 batteries or 2 batteries at a time, and have that to be able to run like your bed pump, for those that have inflated mattresses, or to run your breathing machine at night, for long power outages. Now I know generators came up, but that's something that for long-term use, my neighbor said I could run a cable from his garage or from outside his driveway and run it into the house and do that. But I was thinking for like long term, it'd be nice to have a battery, like an inverter situation that could do that. I think it'd be kind of I don't know. I really think that's something that I plan on trying to do this winter. Is I have tons of extra wheelchair batteries, and I think it'd be great for me to put together a little cart that can run my breathing machine and my bed pump for multiple hours where I don't have to think about it. Because the power here does go out quite a bit, but it's normally on the next day. It's normally not long term. I kind of have a game plan. If it is long term, I'll just go to the neighbor and borrow his cord and recharge my battery banks. But it's something that I want to, I don't know. I think it's something that I want to put together and do a video and building it. And I'm going to try to do it on a cheap and go through all Harbor Freight, you know, situation style. Try to get done cheap because I think it'd be something just to have an inverter, and that would just be great to have, you know. Let's see. Have the side markers flash red above that bay. I'm here. I'm here. I can totally see that. Rolling Thunder. But on the topic of emergencies, I know this all sounds like something we've all been taught as kids. But if there's ever a break-in for, I would try to hide and lock the door. Okay, I see what you're trying to say, Rolling Thunder. Yeah, something to think about, like self-defense. Let's say it's like somebody breaking a house. What would you do? That's, I know, I think I physically could not lock the door, but I can guarantee you I could back up the power chair up against the door. They're not going to get through. I mean, well, okay, our doors are like from 96, so they're not exactly the best material. But if the wheelchair is parked up against it, they're going to have a hell of a time getting through it. With a 300-pound, 400-pound, well, plus me, okay, so at excess of 500 pounds on the opposite side of the door, they're not going to get through that if it's like a break-in situation. Now, if it's like a self-defense situation, hope they got good insurance and charge for those ankles, I guess, but it depends. I don't know. I feel like I think we'd all have to kind of assess the situation if there's ever a break-in. I don't know. That's a... Right, I don't know. I've never actually thought about if there's a break-in, what I would do. Because that's still considered an emergency, right? Somebody's like broken into your house, like what, you know. I I would just hope that all of my friends, you know, if I get taken out, that I have cameras all throughout the house. Make sure you guys tell the police, check Ryan's cameras, okay? There's probably going to be some footage of him trying to take that dude's ass out. And we need that to go viral on the internet. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want that to go viral. But in all seriousness, I don't know. And I think there was a company here locally in Portland that was offering self-defense classes for people in wheelchairs, maybe a manual chair, power chair. Maybe that'd be something to maybe look into. Just have a general idea of like what possibly you would do in that situation. I mean, I think most of us are going to be in that situation. We're going to go probably have our phones with us anyways. Most of us always have it on us. Go into a room, block the door, lock it, and call 911. Or as Lidlock is saying, go for the old pew pew and do that. We don't have any of those in this house, but it's definitely an option for sure. As you know, most chair users don't sleep with clothes on. I really don't get embarrassed if the emergency see me with no clothes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I think that's majority of us because of the chance of a pressure sore or anything like that. If we're stuck in bed and we got a bunch of layers of clothes on, you don't want to be having that. Mike C's got a Dream Station 2. I know it'll run off a battery for how long depends on the battery capacity. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, I lost track of chat here. We have a long-term outages with Didi saying this. We got long-term outages with hurricanes, not often, but it's happened enough. And for 4 days during that winter storm, was temps in the teens. Yeah, see, Didi, like for somebody, a perfect example like that, wouldn't it be great to have a battery bank that you could rely on? That's a cart. You can roll it in there and can run your heater for at least like 2-3 days until maybe you can find like another place to stay or another person maybe has power. I know it's not always the situation, but if it ends up knowing it's going to be long term, then might have to go elsewhere. But I think having a battery backup of some sort that could run a heater would be pretty awesome. In that situation of yours. Ryan saying, I have means for self-defense. Castle Doctrine applies to homes, cars, and so on. Gotcha. That makes sense. Not to sound grim or off topic, but personally, I'm a person that is able to pick up something heavy for to use it as a weapon in form of defense. I'm also able to pick up a gun. No, I don't think that's grim or off topic. I mean, it's a reality where you got to think about that. Like, okay, so if I'm actually in the situation, what can I physically do? What can I not do? Like for me, I can't hold up. I can't pick up a gun or be able to use a gun. Or trust me, if I was able to, I would be the first thing I would go and grab and have next to me to protect my house for sure. Um, that's why I think the best automation I can have to where if like a window's broken or a window gets open, an alarm gets tripped and it calls emergency services for me would be great. But I don't think that's definitely not grim or off topic, dude. I think that's totally a thing that we need to be like open about and talk about because it's something like if we don't talk about these emergency plans or what we would do or what we already have in place, like I already learned from a lot of you that a lot of you guys already have automated systems that either via voice command or whatever can call 911 and or has a security system built in that will automatically do it for you. And I think that's huge to have because I feel like in somebody at least personally for my own condition, like I said, once I'm in bed, I physically cannot move without the assistance of somebody else. So I think having that peace of mind knowing that it can automatically be taken care of for me would be so huge. I also thought that what if your chair had a 120-volt inverter on it for emergencies? Yeah, I think that would work, temporarily for small items, but it wouldn't last very long. That's why I think it'd be kind of cool to have like your own separate cart. That literally it's just a small skinny cart, doesn't take up any space with 4 batteries on it and an A, B, and C switch and an off. So you can pick either one group of batteries, other group of batteries, or all 4 batteries and off. And you basically have a power inverter connected to it, and you're kind of good to go, and at least last you for at least a day or two. Because there's no way I don't think I'm ever going to be able to afford a generator, or at least even if I had a generator, I have no way of starting it, nor do I have a way of connecting it to anything. I'd have to have something get me out of bed in order for that to happen. If someone thinks it's funny to come in randomly without telling me, or they break in, they need to accept that they're going to die. Hopefully, Lidlock, you let your friends know about that. You don't want any of your friends sneaking in there. The wheelchair barbecue. Yeah, I think the wheelchair barbecue is a plug-in thing. I don't think it has an inverter on it. I don't recall. Maybe I'm misspoken. Totally normal. I don't think there's a generator on the barbecue. It's just a plug-in, right? Well, I guess Lidlock, what I meant by that comment is that, hopefully it's them. If it's like dark, no lights on, you know what I mean. Orion saying that he's carried since 2008. Being a chair starting 2009 gave me a different feeling about personal security. Absolutely, dude. If you have the ability to carry and stuff, I mean, I would absolutely carry if I had the ability to. I totally would. And I think that, like I said, each one of us are going to have our own abilities of personal safety, what it is we can do, what we can't do. Oh, you have an inverter on it now. Did not know that. Gotcha. Oh, it didn't. Okay, last time I saw the barbecue at all, it did not have an inverter. Okay. Uh, 3 of each item in my bag. That's actually probably good to have like a. Um, it's good to have like 3 of each, probably kind of things. Inverters will suck up battery quick. Best not to change voltage AC DC if possible. That makes sense. Like, Mike C, are you talking about like if you're like switching it around from different voltage thing, or you're just talking about this like an inverter in general? You want to know what? I think we should have an episode of every single person in chat. I know we all have different backpacks or a bag that we carry per se, or even a go bag. It'd be kind of interesting to see like what does each person in live chat carry in their go bag, even if it's just a typed up list. I'd be really curious as like what each like. We should have 2 different things. You're gonna have your go bag, which I'm assuming is to go bag like in case you need to move like out in like an emergency? And then are we talking about also having a bag? Sorry, that's like our everyday bag that we carry with us. It'd be kind of cool to have it like so everyone like maybe submits like an image of what's in their backpack and then like a description. And it doesn't have to even be like I won't even mention who it's from. It'd be really kind of cool to see what each person has in their everyday carry bag and your oh shit, I need to get out of town kind of bag. It'd be very interesting to see what everyone carries. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? It'd be kind of something a little bit different. We kind of put together like a picture. And we won't mention whose is who. We won't put names with it. So make sure, I guess if we do this, we'd have to have photographs that don't mention who you are. But I think that'd be really cool to be able to do that. Just to kind of see what everyone carries. Because I know we all carry different things from our, our oh crap bags to like gotta bail out to our everyday bags. It'd be kind of interesting to see. Maybe, let's just start out with maybe our everyday bags. So if everyone wants to participate, and it's totally optional, if you want to send me like either on Twitter or on Instagram, like there's even a list of what's in your everyday bag. And then maybe your go bag separately, like 2 different lists. I think that'd be really fun to make for a really fun episode like we were talking about. All right, I need to catch up here on chat. It's scrolling by really quickly. This guy tried to put me in a lake with my attendant control once. Oh, yeah, I hope you tried to give him a tase, for sure. The criminal type person looks for the weakest of the group and single out, even if they're the handicapped person, instead of being valuable. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, criminals are criminals. Criminals are, yeah. There's actually an episode of the TV show 911 where it involved congealed tins, and unfortunately, one of them was choking. So to give you a sense of, oh crap, that could, yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, reality could choke. There could be a fire. There could be. I mean, it's you have to look at the reality. It's not exactly. It's not. It's not that we don't want to think about like, oh, what if that happened? But it's a reality. It could totally happen, and we need to be prepared for that. And that's why I think this was an important episode to let you guys know that my plan sucks. I don't have really one. It's very half-assed. And having this conversation with all of you is maybe realize, one, how half-assed it is. 2, some different ideas and things to put into place to make sure that I'm, covered in different emergencies. Totally, DD saying, keep important papers under the pad, kennel for the animal. That's actually a real good idea for your animal. Make sure that they have what they need. Definitely would give you a sense of, oh crap, that could actually happen. Yeah, I thought Jump at Rolling Thunder with a 911 episode. It could totally happen. One thing I hate about this building is the amount of freaking luggage that's required to travel. After the Cali trip, I've got 1 additional bag now. Wait till we start flying totally normal. That's gonna be we're gonna be flying with 2 power chairs each and like 3 bags each and a Hoyer. Oh man, that poor airplane. There's gonna be people's luggages that are not gonna show up on the other end. Let's just put it that way. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, I agree with you. Flying with and trying to get all of our stuff there can definitely be hard on long trips. My go bag is a little bag on the side of the chair. That's good. It's always good to have like your go bag with you at all times if you're able to. Let's see. That would be hilarious. Where I'm always teased about bags. See what I mean, Didi? I think it'd be great. I think we need to have an episode about bags. I think it'd be great. The big Renergy battery inverter on wheels would be nice for power. Okay. I think, yeah, I'm open to ideas. What you guys think would be good, like on a battery cart for like an inverter or even slash charger. I think that would be like something I wouldn't mind putting on a cart and having it together. Let's see. Hey, White Raven, how's it going, sir? Welcome into chat. Glad you're here. Yeah, hope our chairs make the trip better in the recent stories. Yeah, I mean, luckily, Orion, we're not traveling anytime soon via airplane, but when we do, It will be interesting. His totally normal saying, didn't mobility devices take priority and then everyone else's luggage gets booted to the next flight? Yes, absolutely. And when you are traveling with a power soccer team, let's say there's 6 individuals in power chairs, they have their soccer chairs and their everyday chairs. That's 12 power chairs, plus their luggage, plus their air quote medical supply bag. Like that's basically what I will tell you a trip that I have been on a power soccer team, and that happened. And I would say probably at least 12 to 13 people, if not more, did not receive their luggage on the other end. And when the person at the desk told them it was because of us, let's just say we got some very not so nice stares and complaints. So totally normal is it's correct that they did boot everyone else's luggage because there was so much of our luggage. We kind of felt bad a little bit partially. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's see. Rolling Thunder, I'd really be scared to fly with my power chair. Not obviously for individuals, it's the only means of getting around. It's different, but me personally, but I would just be so scared for. I'm assuming you meant like for the break into chair. Yeah, I flying with a power chair, like I did it all the time pre like pandemic. Like I flew all like a lot of different places, and I did it for oh gosh, 10 years is going to Las Vegas. And I have certain processes and things that I would do to the chair to make it fly ready, and they broke it once. It was fixable, but it's definitely something that happens quite often. I think the best thing when it comes to flying with a power chair is just one, make sure you have some sort of backup in place if you're able to have a backup. And not everyone is able to. But it's just, I don't know. It's tough flying with a power chair because some people have options like a backup chair at home, so it's no big deal. Like for me, when I traveled, I took my travel chair. I left my everyday chair at home and I took an old power chair from the, that I got before I upgraded to this new one to use for when I travel. So if it got broken, I wasn't like totally SOL, and I had parts, at least in my stockpile here at home, that I could send to myself in case of emergency, like a joystick or stuff like that. But not everyone has that option. Some people basically have their only chair and that only chair, and yeah, it's a super high chance of a power chair flying if that's your only chair and it gets broken, like you're screwed. I mean, it takes, sometimes anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks to get it fixed, especially with current backups and stuff with the supply chain, with all like the companies struggling to get the parts that they need to even get it out to the people. Yeah, I so Orion, you're saying get insurance for your chairs, to match the value. 'Cause isn't I don't know if there's separate flying insurance. Is there? Because I know that they'll cover basically, if they break a wheelchair, they'll cover the cost of it without you having to buy extra insurance. I guess, have you been buying extra insurance or getting extra insurance? Just curious. I have a foldable travel power chair, but I would not fly with their M3. Yeah, that makes total sense, Rolling Thunder. I don't really fly anymore. If I don't have my custom pants, I can't wear anything. Yeah, I actually, when I would fly, I have a certain pair of jeans that I wear that have extra handles sewn into them that allow the people at airlines to basically pick me up and transfer me. Works out pretty well instead of trying to use their sling, because remember their sling ends up hurting me. Yeah, I'm with totally normal. I always fly Southwest too if I'm able to. Lidoc, that's cool that you have custom pants though to do when you. I'm assuming you need that for when you transfer and stuff like I do. United and Delta are the worst for paying out repairs. I agree. American's not too bad. Oh, 130 a pair. Holy cow. Lidlock's got 5 to 6 chairs. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us that do have extra chairs, but there's also a lot of us that don't have extra chairs at all. That's awesome though. You have the extra parts to be able to build if it came to it, like you got stuck. I haven't found a way to insure power chairs other than homeowners claims. Yeah, but even with the homeowners claim, I mean, won't the airlines also cover insurance by itself? I'm just curious. Dee saying she's always had great service with Southwest as well. I would get extra insurance if you fly with golf clubs. Yeah. It's always good to probably when it comes to golf clubs or any other like equipment like that. I'm sure it's important to have extra insurance. I'm sure they offer because I don't think the actual airline itself offers special insurance with a wheelchair. I don't think they do. American lost my chair. It still baffles me. How can someone misplace a power? Yeah. So we loaded your power chair, but we have no idea where it is. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all, Didi. I don't know how they do that. Unfortunately, one of my friends that I went to high school with was waiting to get on the school bus van, and they were backing into his driveway and literally backed into him. Oh my gosh, that is crazy, Rolling Thunder. His chair was toast. So in that situation, Rolling Thunder, who was like, did homeowners cover that, or did their insurance company cover that? Because obviously they backed up and ran into him. Glad he's okay though. Thank goodness. I can imagine his chair is being completely destroyed. My pants are very loose fitting, no rear pockets, and the fly that extends 7 extra inches to make casting easy. Yeah, that's really awesome. But are there like a certain brand you use? Because I know there's probably a lot of people here in chat that would love to have an extra 7 inches of fly for capping on airplanes. Like to have pants that can do that. Just curious if you have like a name brand or anything for that. Yeah, flying is its own thing. You don't need insurance for that, or shouldn't. Well, air quotes, you shouldn't. Um, but a lot of times lawyers are required to make airlines make good on things. Yeah, sometimes. Orion, check your messages for the Canadian lady issues. Got it. I am assuming Canadian lady issues are on Discord. I see it. Okay. Thank you, sir, for the link. Let me load it up here in my browser, and I'll be glad to share it with everyone first. Okay. Now let me open up here in my browser. Okay. All right, here is. Thank you, Orion, for sending over this article. Okay, sorry about all the ads on the site. I didn't make the site. Wheelchair broken on Air Canada flight. I mean, how many times have we seen articles like this? Like constant. Toronto woman speaking out after a wheelchair was damaged. Let's look at the holy crap. How did that even happen to the backrest? That's like mangled. It's like twisted sideways. Wow. Drive early to make sure. And no one told him about it at all. She had to report it herself. She was first initial. Oh, here's $300. Like, where am I even gonna be able to stay or like sleep? Oh, that's insane. The damages cost me more than an entire work trip, my health, emotional trauma, waiting around to get my wheelchair fixed. Does anybody remember what the statistic was on like airlines like losing like wheelchairs, and it was something like 17,000 a month in between like wheelchairs and other like children's stuff? Wow. One person also had their chair shipped to Greece instead of supposed to be, or went to Germany instead of Greece. Wow. And I have to agree with the statement right here. While the report underlines that personal safety and costs are paramount issues, that customers' personal dignity would be enhanced and injury and discomfort would be reduced if traveling with a wheelchair, or if a traveling wheelchair user were allowed to remain in his or her wheelchair during the flight. Like, why don't we have that yet? Like, it's just, I don't know. It blows my mind that we don't have the ability yet to fly in our own chairs. It's just mind-boggling why we don't have that option yet. That's just crazy. Thanks for sharing, Orion. That was just in September, and I think it's obviously I'm going to call it an epidemic of an issue that's happening. This company called Hot Gritty made them custom made, but if you look around, you can find someone to make them. All right, that's really cool. For the pants, with the 7-inch extra thing for that, for cathing. Totally Normal said it's an Invacare taco. Yeah. There's a Facebook group that I would recommend joining. Some of you may be on it. It's called I Use a Wheelchair. Yes, I have a life. Rolling Thunder, I absolutely love the name of that group. I think I'm gonna find that and add myself onto there. Orion's, how did they do that? That's my question. I think it's just freight breaks loose and slam around in there. Absolutely. I have a story to tell you about a power chair in a minute. That triggers like it slid over and hit the wall. Yeah. Canada create a new piece of legislation over this if a person wasn't internet famous as. Yeah, I agree. Like if it's not somebody that has a lot of followers or anything, it's not going to end up making the news or making a big thing. Oh, the pink chair that was in the van crash? Yeah, it looks like that one. They used to take a big chair to the airport 24 hours. See, that's insane. That like you'd have to get there 24 hours. Like, oh, here, be without your wheelchair for 24 hours. That's insane, Dee Dee. Yeah, I think it's crazy. Yeah, there is a really big thing going on right now to get the flight travel changed so people in power wheelchairs can fly and stay in our chairs. It's in the process, but it's a long fight. I forget the name of, there's a nonprofit that's working towards that, that's done like raise tons and millions of dollars for funding to like test power chairs and airplanes and crashes and stuff. Actually used my friend, I think to my friend to sue the school district and they bought him a new wheelchair. Rolling Thunder, what's the story behind that? About the school district? Just curious. While while that is getting answered, I'm gonna see if I can magically find this interesting Facebook group. I kind of like the name. Wow. Nice. Oh, so I did find the group, which is great, but it looks like they're no longer allowing any new membership. Oh, never mind. I was not in my personal account. Oh, all right. I'm going to deal with that later. That requires questions I can't answer right now on live stream. All right, catch up here on chat. Ironically, several people heading to DC to lobby for an FAA changes or chairs destroyed. Yeah, I think I remember there's a couple people on Instagram that I followed that had that same issue. Oh, Rolling Thunder, your friend, I didn't realize that was a school district van that backed into him and ran over. Yeah, they definitely should have sued. That's crazy. Discrimination. Oh, we just destroyed your wheelchairs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there definitely needs to be some changes. Might be just a possible thing. I don't know. My face doesn't get very cold. My feet do. For me, personally. Wow, this turned out to be a really good and a very big topic that I feel like that most of us were kind of, I don't know, thinking about, but not really talking about, having an emergency plan in place. So it's really great to I don't know, that we had this discussion today and we brought this up. So Orion, thank you for making this happen, coming up with that. I think it's a really good thing, and I think, like I said, it's a subject matter that we all have in our mind, but nobody is necessarily talking about. And I think it's kind of a good. Hopefully, this will make all of us that are in chat and a part of this like to stop and think like, how do I have everything covered? Am I covered with everything? Because you never know. Like if there's an emergency of any sort, it would just be good to kind of, I don't know, have a game plan for it. Because all the different emergencies, there's a lot of stuff I've never thought about. It was like, oh crap, we really should start thinking about this. Totally normal, 58 degrees, man. Put on the heat. I think it's like 75 in here. Handled it pretty well. So far. My legs are freezing, though. I don't have compression socks on today. Like my legs from the knee down feel like they're in a bucket of ice. Cold hurts you more, hot makes me buzz. Yeah, for me, the pain I get when like in cold, damp weather, man, that gets tough for me pain wise. Joshua is saying I had a good chunk of my property replaced with renter's insurance after a small fire at my place. It was years ago, but it was $20 a month. I was lucky. Well, I'm glad that you had renter's insurance after a small fire, dude. I'm so glad you had that. I think there's a lot of people maybe in rental situations that don't have that, or if it's not that they don't have it, they can't afford it. Sometimes that can be crazy expensive, depending on where you live. But that's, yeah, $20 a month, man. I'm glad that was all turned out okay. Absolutely, Lilac. That's a good point. Is that if you do plan on after watching this stream, like, hey, I'm gonna start thinking about making an emergency plan, including myself, is to have somebody else trustworthy look over it afterwards to make sure you didn't miss anything. I think that's always good to find somebody else to look at it and talk about it, or even another person in a similar situation that maybe is thinking about something you're not thinking about. Like there's some stuff that came up in chat today that I was not even thinking about, and it's like, oh yeah, I should probably think about that just in case. 61 there will be mid-50s. Window fan is on high. Let's see, what is the temperature here? We're currently at 49 is what we're at here. And what's my low temperature going to be? We're going to get down to 42 degrees tonight. Not too bad. Definitely, colder than what I can handle, but I'll survive. Rolling Thunder. I've heard, at least in my case, the new Moochie office that I go through where I live, they're no longer supplying rental chairs because so many of their customers need them. Especially if you're a new... Yeah, I'm honestly not surprised. They have already, at least in our area, that particular company has been not exactly known for stellar activities. And I wouldn't be surprised that they do not have enough supply to meet up with all the broken wheelchairs, because the problem is there's so many issues with the wheelchair companies currently being able to get the supplies they need for repairs. Oh, and and Totally Normal's chimed in there perfectly, as the excuses will last for years. I agree. There's definitely a lot more of some of the excuses coming up than what there would be. And I feel like that places like Blank Motion and other DMEs are kind of standing on that leg a little too hard and kind of making excuses as to this and that. But honestly, it should not take 35 weeks for a wheelchair order to go through. It's just, don't get me started on power wheelchairs and orders and delays, but let alone, that's horrible to hear that they're no longer supplying rental, because here's my biggest problem with companies not being able to provide rentals. Let's say tonight I leave here, I'm driving through the door, I just smash the crap out of my joystick and shatter it to pieces. I'm not going to get a new one for like 4.5 weeks at the earliest. And that's using a DME that I do work well with. And it's like, well, crap, what am I supposed to do? And Unfortunately, like most of you know, you have to normally kind of keep some extra parts and pieces of your chair in case that does happen. So at least you're not stranded because the insurance or whatever in the DME, they're going to dig around for months in order to get something. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's just crazy. Um, let's see. Yeah, if you're especially, yeah, if you have a power wheelchair, like I said, you need to be able to have a thing. You can't be 4 weeks without a power wheelchair. It just doesn't work. Um, I mean, how many of the free, perfectly good chairs we gotten from the dumpster? Okay, so what Totally Normal is talking about, the air quote dumpster, is a few years back, and actually not even a few years, well, it was a few years back. And this goes for any DME. So by law, and it depends on what state you live on. So let me rephrase this statement. So by law in the state of Oregon, it is illegal for a durable medical equipment company to resell a power wheelchair that's been used due to air quote liability. Now I know other states can do it. I think I'm pretty sure Florida is allowed to resell power chairs and equipment and stuff like I see pop up on eBay and stuff all the time and different places. But in the state of Oregon, it's not allowed. So what they end up doing is they end up taking their chairs that they don't like have anymore that are supposedly their loaners, and they end up just throwing them out. At one point in time, Totally Normal and I were happened to be cruising by a dumpster, and I don't remember if we got a call or not for that, but we pulled 7 power chairs from the dumpster area. I think it was one F3 that was pretty much brand new with I don't even know what kind of, I think it literally had 300 miles on it, but didn't have a seat on it. It was like the base of an F3, and then it was how many M300s? I think like 6 M300s. So, and that was just in one haul in 1 week. It was air quote sanctioned, for sure. But it's not something that we ever do or not able to get sanctioned anymore, unfortunately. But to me, it's just like that's insane that like they're literally tossing out wheelchairs here because they legally cannot resell them. That's just it's mind-boggling to me that they now obviously every state's different. Some states are able to donate them, some people are able to sell them. It kind of just really depends. For me, paying my purchase chair under my butt was less than 3. So that's really awesome, dude, to get that kind of turnaround. I really think it kind of depends on where you live, Orion, that you're going to get that kinds of service. I know some people on some in the Power Soccer group that ordered chairs almost 9 months ago, and they're just now possibly getting them to the DME, and it still have to be delivered. So they're talking almost 10 months from the time that they got measured by the physical therapist to their wheelchair, which is just insane that it takes that long. No, I think that's good, Ryan, to toss that out there because I think it's important to know like what everyone gets there different. Well, I agree. Like they should have kept those chairs as loaners instead of like, oh, sorry, we don't have enough. I was forced to go out and buy a second chair because my main chair broke. Oh, Joshua, dude, that is horrible, dude. See, that's the kind of situation like Joshua where you live. Like that should have never happened, but that's crazy. White Raven says they donate chairs where he's at. Orion, yes, that was the air quotes on the happen part. The whole reason I was able to get M3 into 3 months that it took to get it was because I watched Dan's Totally Normal video on getting a new power chair. That video has a lot of great tips. Absolutely. Totally Normal has some amazing videos, including the one about, how to basically the process of getting a new power wheelchair. I think it's good and important to watch because I feel like there's a lot of people that maybe end up new into a power chair or new to a situation and they don't know what the steps or the processes are to go through and do that. So yeah, that's so true. By the way, thanks Dan for making that video. It was my first power chair, full size power chair, and your video answered a lot of questions that I had. Go Totally Normal. Let's give a round of applause for that. That's awesome. That's great to hear, Rolling Thunder, that video was so helpful to you. Dan's an awesome guy. The Elite HD I used for a few months was donated to a DME that gave it to me. That's awesome. They were able to donate that to you, Orion. Quantum spits out chairs fast. Exclamation! All their comments redacted, but they do build deliver quick. Yes, for sure. Totally normal. I agree. Uh, now, toss in the PT exam and paperwork. You add a month to that, so to slow down isn't the manufacturer, but the air quote system. True, but there's definitely some dragging a defeat of the outside of the system that happens at the DMEs where we live. For some reason, it's getting worse than better, unfortunately, right here. I don't know why. I need to take some highlights and make a shorter video. You should. It should be like the ultimate guide to power wheelchair ordering. And you can use that title if you want to. You're welcome. It's probably not the best title, but you might take it. My chair once actually ordered got to Houston fast, but getting it actually delivered took longer than it did from Promoville to Houston. Wow. So it took longer to get it once it was in Houston than what it was. Wow, that's crazy. And Orion, and each state has their own chains of certain DMEs, and a lot of them are going to be way better than others. It's just hit or miss, and it feels like once they kind of have a bad rap, a lot of them are really have a hard time getting back out of that bad rap. And unfortunately, here in the Portland metro area, they really haven't improved. But I'm glad to hear that they worked out so well for you. Like they're probably a really good company, like corporate wise, they're really great, but just in Portland, they're just not doing so hot right now, and haven't for years. Like I don't think I've heard a single positive thing come out of it from anybody that at least I personally know in the Portland metro area. Low of 31 tonight in Nebraska. Welcome to the Midwest. Oh yeah, Rolling Thunder. I remember those days living in Ohio. Not quite as cold as Nebraska in Ohio, but definitely get some chilly Midwest temperatures. See, Ryan, just like I feel like we used to have customer service like that, like you just said, like the person like worked with you, they were really nice, they took care of you, any other changes you need on your chair. I literally had my chair dropped off in 2017 and they refused to come back to do any adjustments on my F3. I had to have Totally Normal come over and do all of my power chair adjustments were all done by Totally Normal when I first got it because it just was not able to make it happen. I love that comment. Totally normal. Heck, I'm currently in the worst with the worst DME in town. Here was labeled, or you're with the worst. Let's say, wait. You're currently with the DME in town here that was labeled the worst. That New Motion for years, but you got the stained red carpet treatment in exchange for not filming anything. Put down the camera. We'll give you all the red carpet you want. That's true. Even the worst of the worst is making a comeback. We're only gonna hit 39. I'm okay with that. You can keep the 8 degrees colder temperatures rolling thunder. Keep those temperatures, sir. We don't want your temperatures here. I mean, I didn't say the carpet was clean, but at least they rolled it out. Maybe a few bodies here and there and discolored, but hey, the carpet was rolled. And it was at least red. So that's got to count for something. That doesn't sound very good there, Lidlock. Having somebody smashing you, that's not good. Regardless of the reason, that does not seem like an okay situation. Let's see. Another thing is most insurance companies and things from my experience say you can get a new power chair every 5 years, in my opinion. But in my opinion, a full-size power chair, heck, even a manual chair, I think. It's it could definitely last more than 5 to 6 years for sure. It really kind of depends on. I I feel like it varies on the user. Um, because I feel like the majority of us in power chairs end up using the yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, you're thinking it could last. Yeah, I agree. It can. I think depending on the power chair user and how many miles and stuff they put on it. Like I'm rough on my chair, but it's gentle at the same time. Like I've already broken two motors, or one motor for sure, and broken a suspension part, and my rear casters have severe flutter of death, and it's been 5 years, well 6 years. Um, so I think it just kind of depends on the person and how will they take care of it. And what Orion's saying that in certain countries you get two chairs every year, but one is for indoor, one is for outdoor. And I think for a lot of us, our power chairs are indoor and outdoor. And somebody like totally normal, and other people I might know, they put a crap ton of miles on their chair. I mean, way more than I do, and I thought I do a lot. Like, I mean, there's certain hikes I go on that are 4 to 11 miles that I put on in one day, but then there's other days where I'm literally doing, it takes 4 miles in like a week just because of going around the house and whatnot. So I think it just kind of depends. But I think that if the person's not rough on chairs, it also depends on the person. I know certain people that are like they just destroy their chairs constantly, and I know other people that they just have the normal wear and tear, batteries, tires, small things here and there. Um, it just kind of depends. And a lot of people do tons of miles. So I think mileage really has to do a lot with it and it also depends on the ability of your DME is willing to come out and do like a nut and bolt check. So not all of us are going to physically be able to have the ability to do that. And I can tell you, 4 years of even 5 years of abusing this chair, I have some nuts and bolts on this chair that are extremely loose and probably need to be tightened because thread lock is great, but it doesn't hold up with, well over 1,000+ miles on a power chair. I feel like things kind of start falling apart. But I agree. I mean, I think there's definitely the possibility of power chairs lasting longer for sure, more than 5 years. There are good car owners and not so good ones. Yeah, I think totally normal is using one of my original C300. I think it's got like well over 3,000 miles on it. I think it's still ticking, and it works just fine. I mean, I think he's still abusing it to this day. That's the one with the F3 motors in it, totally normal. I think it's when you upgraded the motors in it. Didi does 120, 160 miles a month between two chairs. Didi, you got me beat by like a landslide on mileage. Rolling Thunder, you got a 2022 or 125 miles on it. Got March. Awesome job, Rolling Thunder. Way to put some miles on it, dude. Glad to see all you guys are doing some good mileage on it. Orion got done a hike set. Yeah, you will though. You'll get a chance to break it in. Joshua, yes, you're correct. Every 5 to 6 years, depending on the insurance, but normally it's basically every 5 to 6. Um, I think Orion's correct. The Medicare covers about 80% every 5 years, and then most, depending on your situation, some I know that Medicaid will sometimes cover up the rest of it, depending on what state you live and on what your insurance is. That's another thing. What Didi just says: do a lot of maintenance to keep up things in good condition. That's something I do like once a month. I basically grab my Allen tool set and I basically point and shoot the caregiver. Like, Harry, put the Allen tool on there, make sure that's tight. And I go through and tighten up all the nuts and bolts that come loose because basically, um, yeah, nut and bolts on these permobiles do come loose quite a bit, at least for me. And the ones that do constantly come loose, I put a little bit of thread locker on there and put it back on to help that from happening. But I definitely do a nut and bolt check every at least once a month, if not every 2 months, just to make sure. Especially on like if I know I've had a month of hard hiking. Let's see. Average 150, 200 miles a month when the outside comes to play an ingress game. Yeah, I could see that. When I lived by the river, I had the bounder, though I put over 1,000 miles in 8 months on that thing. That's crazy mileage. But that thing has crazy mileage. So it goes like, what, 40, 50 miles per charge? Is that the C300 that totally normal tipped over? Um, I don't think so. But I think that does have some parts on it from my chair, is what Totally Normal is saying. Ryan, also your income. Yeah, with Medicare, yeah, if you're depending on your income, that's going to fluctuate and change for sure. One of my friends has an AMI Systems all-track mid-wheel drive. He does not like it at all. I don't have any experience with AMI Systems. I don't know obviously. I used to know somebody that had an AMI Systems and they loved the older style of AMI Systems, and then any of the newer stuff, most of the people I've talked to that have the newer AMI Systems have not been totally happy with it. Also, there's some other people that have had, like one way I know had a Redman chair, and that thing like lasted them for almost 10 years and held up. But I think that guy is local to Arizona, the Redman power chairs. And I do not have any other experience except for uh, my Permobil chairs, which I've all had. Um, C300, the F3, the Corpus 2G yellow chair I had. I had a rear-wheel drive Quickie P22 SE for soccer. And then I custom built my rear-wheel drive soccer chair, so it doesn't really fit a brand. But I've only had a lot of experience only driving Permobil and using Permobil and strictly front-wheel drive, except for my soccer chair, or my two soccer chairs. So I'm not really a good explanation as far. I don't have any good, I guess, knowledge into other chairs. I think I need to go through. I should visit the Totally Normal's shop and try out some other chairs just to see if what my experience is with them, because I've never tried any other chairs. Ryan saying I have to double check my fasteners after the new motion guide leaves. I found one loose bolt so far. Happens with the. Yeah, I think it's when you're adjusting things, you have to loosen up a lot of bolts and readjust it, and you have to go through and check them even after somebody else does it. Totally Normal is talking about the aim system chair can get screwed up if they don't know what they're doing. That's a DME. If they don't know what they're doing, it can be messed up. I would like to try an AMI system. I want their headrest adjuster. Is that something, Orion, that you and Totally Normal were talking about a while ago in Discord? I had like a photo of a really cool looking headrest adjuster. Bloodlock, your C500 from 2007. Are you using it still on a regular basis? That's pretty, those things were built like tanks, man. Those are great chairs. They have mysteriously gone silent. I don't know too many power chair manufacturers that do that to you. Totally Normal. The two power chairs that I was shown when I went to pick out a new chair was an Edge 3 or an M3. Gotcha, those are your two options. Orion's done front wheel, mid wheel, and rear wheel. I like front wheel best as that's kind of good in most places chair. Yeah, makes sense. The lock, yes, you use your C500 data. That's really cool, dude. Those things are indestructible, dude. That thing should last you forever. As long as you don't get like electronics wet or anything, it should be totally good. That thing was seriously built like a tank. Like they literally like, here, let's make a wheelchair out of a tank material. That's pretty much a C500. My also friend was telling me that he wasn't really given an option when it comes to power chair. Like they told him, this is what we have, this is what we'll give you, and also this feature. I don't know what it's called, seat, the top of the porch interesting, but it basically lowers the actual seat that he's sitting on to the floor. That's actually a really cool thing, Rolling Thunder. I've actually seen a few pediatric chairs with that, and I think it's really cool. Allows them to get down on the floor and like transfer off it. That's actually really awesome. But maybe the reason they told him that that was like the only option is maybe at the time that may have been the only option that had the floor option that was maybe covered by his insurance. I know there's probably some other manufacturers that may, provide that type of power like seat thing, but that's actually a really cool feature. So maybe that's why they didn't give him an option. The only thing I can maybe think of. Let's see. You're saving up for that awesome headrest. How much is that bad boy, if you don't mind me asking, Orion? I kind of didn't. I'm way behind on any type of conversation in Discord, so you have to fill me into details. I just remember seeing it, but I don't remember any details about it. Lidlock, you got the 7.5 mount. Now, do you have to upgrade those motors, sir? I'm assuming those are not stock motors. And what kind of controller do you have in that C500? Do you still have the stock controller, or have you upgraded to like 120 amp? 50 bucks used, dropped to 45 today. That's actually a really good deal. Oh, Lidlock, you're right. I forgot that chair did come with the larger 7.5 motors. Just curious what controller you have in there. I think those motors on like a 120 amp controller would be fun. I'm eyeing a red one that is new. It would match my chair. That'd be really cool, man, to get something a matching red headrest with that. It'd be sweet. It's an old ass C500, it's an old PG. Yeah, but you can upgrade it though, Lidlock. You could put the new you should be able to put a regular RNet controller should still connect to the motors on that chair, I think. Don't quote me on that. Don't come back to me if it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure you should be able to. I think I remember knowing some people that upgraded that to an RNet system with a 120 amp controller. I know what you're talking about. That was the old PNG drive controls. Oh, I gave you the 7.5 motors? Oh, I think I dragged that out of the C500 totally normal. You're right. I did get those to you. Totally normal. Will those C500 motors fit on a F3 when I'm done with this F3? Just curiosity. If we could stuff those things on there. You got a 90 amp. Yeah, 120 amp. You'd definitely be pushing that 7.5 for sure. Oh, here we go. Rolling Thunder. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about this Rolling Thunder. A lot of people with brand new chairs were not getting their switch boxes. I know people does not have. Are you asking if they? No, I don't think that they would charge you to do it. To put it on, they shouldn't. I mean, they're the ones that didn't provide it to you. They should, when they get sent out, the DME should come out to your house and put in there. It should be no cost to you at all. No um, no type of payment or anything, because that's definitely an issue on their part. They did not, send it with the chair itself. Ba, ba, ba. But they definitely, yeah, they should not be charging that. Totally normal says no. Okay, that makes sense. It's got 2G, so he can't swap easily. Oh, that's true. You'd have to, but I'm saying like just the motors. I was curious if just the motors would like be able to be powered by an RNet system, but you're right. Just the 2G seating and RNet does not swap over as far as seating goes. Orion's just saying, make sure it was on the order you signed for. That's true. I mean, the official response, if they'll install them later, so if the DME won't do it or they're going to charge you for it, just contact your local Permobile rep. And if you don't know who your local Permobile rep is, you can call Permobile directly, give them your serial number of your chair, and they'll tell you where you're located, who your Permobile rep is, and give you their information. Oh, got it. It has the wiring built in, they just didn't provide it. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, Lidlock. I'm pretty sure that would work. Yeah, the seat controller. Man. Haha, Streambot. Got him. Streambot did its job. Oh, that's great. See, as long as I don't piss off the bot and kick the bot out of chat, we're good. But man, that was instant, man. That bot was like on it. That was fast. It's a free bot too, so I can't complain for a free bot. Oh, you got timed out, Lidlock. Sorry about that there, buddy, but you typed it. You'll be back in 30. Don't worry. ICS is standard equipment on all group 3 chairs. Okay. I missed that. I get through all the spam. I don't know if Pillman is manufacturing the switch boxes anymore, though, because I was told that they weren't making it because of the chip shortage. They're definitely... they'll make them again, for sure. I mean, they're going to have to. I mean, if it really comes to the point where, like, somebody really, really needs it and they just can't, you know, do it, then you could always try to maybe find one on eBay, possibly. A used one or something if it really got to that point. I don't know if there is any on eBay. I've never looked. I'm assuming there might not be. If there's a shortage of even Perlville being able to get any. I'm assuming used market is probably, I don't know. Just a thought. I don't know if everybody's tried doing that, getting a used one off of eBay. Sweet broom. Yeah, Lidlock, it was on it, dude. Even when you tried to comment on it, it was like, yep, out you go. Those chips are needed in this special operation. Yeah, they all have their own little operations going on right now. That's for sure. Yes, the bot does work. When the bot is not kicked out by me by typing some random crap in the chat, the bot totally works. Oh, Dee Dee is saying that there is that it looks like Build My Wheelchair has some available. So I guess that's an option, but obviously that's out of pocket, no insurance or anything like that. But at least it's good to know that Build My Wheelchair has that. And I don't know if any of you heard, but the I know that Totally Normals may have talked about it on a few of his streams, but those new the tires that come out of F5 are available to order directly from Build My Wheelchair. They are the legitimate Promobile tires. In case anybody ever wanted to know that or wanted to run those kind of tires. Quantum actually sells a backup camera just from Quantum that you can actually wire up to the chair and the image from the backup camera comes up on the main screen. That'd be pretty sweet. I could see that really being like especially with like people with like certain disabilities, they have no way of like turning their neck or looking behind them. Like that'd be huge to be able to see like just kind of a general idea of what's behind them. I think that'd be really cool. Oh, it's an actual secondary screen. It's not actually part of the screen. That's really interesting. DD saying they had the ICS boxes the other day and they were on sale. That's cool. I guess maybe we should look into it. That's a good question, Ludlock. I'd have to go back and look at my list of what is not allowed and what is not. Oh, the auxiliary screen on your parts breakdown on your website. Insert link here. Build My Wheelchair. Let's go take a look at this real quick, and then we're gonna end up probably starting to settle down and head towards the end. Wait a minute, I just saw an ad for something that this is interesting. All right, where's quick share with everyone. Okay, so I was just browsing the homepage. Look what came across my screen. Has anybody seen this before? It's a Promobile Aware RNet powered rear view camera with Promobile rail track mount. Interesting. Has anybody ever seen this yet before? Wait, where is it bolted to? Okay. Okay, so it's a separate screen from Permobile. It looks like it's on a RAM mount. Looks like a RAM mount with a custom... It's either 3D printed or something. That is... Yeah, it has like a little distance thing, like on the floor, like, all right, the couch is exactly 1 meter behind you. Like, what? All right, I'm assuming that's a switch to turn it on and off. Okay. And there's this box. I just don't understand the way that it plugs in our net. Okay, I don't know what they did to that wheelchair. It looks all deformed. That is crazy. I know it looks like it's totally something that's like slapped together off the shelf. But what I can't understand is like where this is mounted. It looks like it's underneath the back end of the seat pan. That's, I don't know. I've never seen this before. This is very interesting. It looks like it's just a third party that basically made some brackets and yeah, just off the shelf, you know, and charge a crap ton of money on it. That's insane. All right, remind me, what did we come on here for? We came on here for something. Was it ICS? Oh yeah, ICS box, see? I knew we came on here for something. They have the top and bottom covers. They have the brackets and they have the soft push things. Looks like they do not have any ICS stuff by itself. Let's see. Regardless, I think a backup camera would be pretty badass. Pardon my French. Wonder why Pale doesn't have something like that, or wonder why if it is third party. Aren't the ICS boxes done by a run by a cheap common microcontroller? That's a good question, Chris. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked inside of one. Um, you could Pi your chair to call side screen to by like putting a Raspberry Pi and a camera on it. Can you imagine a power chair with a parking sensors that would be insanely cool? Oh man, isn't there a company though that does that? That has a thing that automatically is able to go through and I don't know, it has like sensors and stuff. Not like automatically parking the wheelchair or anything, but it has like options and stuff. Let's see, how do we get to... Oh, we gotta go to probably parts and accessories. Power wheelchair. Permobile. Let's see, what do we have here? Color kits, alternative chargers, address, phone holders, mounts, got tires. That's really interesting. Ah, Lucy. Thank you. That's what I was thinking about on top of my mind. But yeah, it does not look like they're selling the boxes themselves. But a lot of different joystick handles, knobs, swingaways, Omni displays. Oh, this is interesting. Totally normal. Did you see this? And everyone in chat, a remote kill switch. Wow. It's probably a standard off-the-shelf car alarm just wired in to kill it. Seco, SECLARN. Somebody want to Google that? I would guarantee you that's yeah, I guarantee you that's like a $4 thing, car alarm. All right, let me look at this Lucy thing real quick. That came up in chat. I remember somebody sending me a message about this. So it's got sensors and stuff. It's got like built-in sensors and stuff to tell you when you're backing up and not going off a curb. It basically keeps you safe. I don't know. It's very interesting that they have this kind of thing. It'll help you for collision avoidance, drop off, Alexa compatibility. It's a pretty cool little thing, you know, that they have. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in chat if anybody wants to check it out. All right, let me get back up. I hope I get back to me for a second. Give you guys the link. Okay, let me get caught up on chat. I'm way behind on chat, so I apologize. Tires, ice buttons? Oh, I was, yeah, we did look at some tires. I did forget to look at those. The Provial version is under the seat pan. The Quantum one is on top of the chair seat cover. Or seat control cover. Interesting. Obstacle avoidance. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Switching to a different micro would require a new board design. It would probably soon approved by regulatory body. That's true. They got a regulatory of those things. I just mean the sensors that beep when you back up or beep when you get close to something in your car. I think that'd be pretty easy for somebody to be able to put together. A turbulent seating. I wonder if that, I'm assuming that has to do with the same, or true balance seating. I have a feeling that kind of has something similar. For $45, you're talking about the remote kill switch. Totally normal. That on there is costing $800. This is for good for kids or limited movement of your head. Yeah, absolutely. If you're like yeah, like using that for sure. Oh man, I just saw what time it is. We gotta lock this down here, guys and gals. Gonna finish up the stream. It's been on for 2 hours, and it's caregiver's gonna be barging in my door any second. Be like, time to go. I've hurt my neck has hurt lots. Maybe that would be help because my neck's a certain way. Yeah, for sure. I don't know what sort of how to do it. I know it's just kind of a couple different sensors and stuff and cameras that they put together and using AI. Oh, Orion, your Quantum had the option to beep in your reverse. Backing up a truck. Going through. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to have to end it here tonight. Really good stream. I'm thankful for all of you. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. I appreciate it. And yeah, this was a really good conversation. Learned a lot about emergency plans and things that we all need to kind of keep in the back of our minds and think about and have have set up. But yeah, it's been a really fun night. This was a great subject, and I appreciate each and every one of you being here. And I will be seeing you guys in Totally Normal's chat tomorrow. So everyone have a wonderful evening and a great rest of your Wednesday. And I will see you guys on Thursday. And remember, if Ry can do it, so can you. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.